Welcome to the Neo News Today podcast. I am your host, Dylan. On episode 28 of the NNT pod, I had a chance to sit down and speak with Drey Ng. Drey is the Chief Product Officer at Liquefy, which is a digital securities company based out of Hong Kong. Liquefy strives to digitize unique and private assets like art, real estate, and even sports franchises, among various other collectible type assets, using blockchain technology. Now, Liquefy is not a stranger to the Neo ecosystem. Drey participated in a panel about STOs at DevCon 2 in Seattle. Then, in July of 2019, Neo Global Development invested in Liquefy with the aim of developing a Neo-based security token ecosystem. Since that investment, it seems as if Liquefy has developed a prototype of their platform, which is able to interact with the Neo ecosystem. In today's conversation, Drey and I discussed his background and how he got into blockchain by way of a traditional finance and banking career. Liquefy as a use case in digitizing real estate assets, adhering to trading regulations across various jurisdictions, how governments issuing STO licenses are actually a strong signal of support for Liquefy, Liquefy's relationship with Neo Global Development, and various protocols in the Neo ecosystem, such as Neo ID, a potential stablecoin initiative, and the next steps for Liquefy. So I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dylan with the Neo News Today podcast. Today we are speaking with the Chief Product Officer at Liquefy, Drey Ng. How you doing today, Drey?
Good. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be able to catch up with you. I don't think we've had a chance to meet in person yet, but I have seen Liquefy pop up in the Neo ecosystem a lot within the past few months. So before we kind of delve into Liquefy and the Neo ecosystem, I'm wondering if you could share a little bit of information about yourself and your background in banking and how that led into blockchain.
So, hi guys. My name is Drey. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Liquefy. So before I tap into the blockchain industry, I was actually working in banks. So two banks before, covering Chinese listed companies, and also I had an experience in selling FX and rates products to corporates. And at that time, I already it was like 2017, early 2017. I was already like following Bitcoin and Ethereum, and first, of course, I was shocked by the price movement, and then I took a look into the fundamentals of the both cryptocurrencies. And because of my background of quantitative finance in my bachelor degree, so I was able to really pick up the pillars of blockchain really fast. And I believe that it would be a really disruptive technology in the future, especially in finance and potentially gaming. So as I was a professional in finance, I believe that I should take the lead to follow the wave and potentially to create the wave together with other people who also believe in blockchain. So that's how I got into cryptocurrencies and blockchain after I decided to move to the startup in 2018 with some of our co-founders. And we had a little bit of like discussion on what directions to follow. And here comes the security token in late 2018 when we decided to combine blockchain into traditional finance. So that idea was basically coming from the fact that in 2018, right? We started to see the bear market coming in, and we believe that the sell off of cryptocurrencies was mainly because there is no like asset backing behind those cryptocurrencies. But of course, I truly believe in cryptocurrencies because of the community effect. Uh, so that's why we want to uh, bring in the idea that we can pack actual assets into blockchain, which is minting security tokens for the facilitation of trading and also liquidity providing. So that's how I got into this whole blockchain journey and the Liquefy journey.
So Liquefy is a platform that enables the digitization of various types of assets like private companies, public shares, funds, real estates. This is sort of the vision that Liquefy is going after. So currently today, what kind of
Yep.
assets has Liquefy digitized?
Right. So it's interesting that after running Liquefy for a year and a half, we see two different routes of tokenizing the assets. So one is working with really large conglomerates or family offices um, all over the world. So to name, we actually had a from concept to launch project of tokenizing real estates internally in Hong Kong with really large real estate family offices in Hong Kong. So we empower their employees to purchase a fraction of a real estate which is in their portfolio, and this is actually allowing them to share the upsides of the particular building that they purchase. To allow them to stay aligned with the company as a kind of employee benefits. So it's really interesting, and it's like a really good use case for them internally to see if it's worth pursuing to extend to a greater scale to even to public.
So
So this yeah, please
uh,
go ahead. Yep.
I was just going to clarify, is this a sort of situation where a real estate company is sort of giving their employees a quote unquote share into their company?
Not really. It's like for real estate companies, right? If they personally or if their companies owns a certain building, it is usually in the form of a SPV, right? So they will simply tokenize the upside of the SPV upon selling. So it's a little bit more complicated than a normal security tokenization.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, whenever they promise their employees a 5 year period. So after 5 years, if they can sell the building, basically the employees who bought a fraction of the building can share the ownership. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
can share the profit, upside profit.
Cool. So
Yep.
uh this is one of your clients in Hong Kong.
Yep.
I've read that there are many jurisdictions that Liquefy has the capacity to work across. So how many jurisdictions
Right.
can Liquefy work within, and what are some of the differences that you guys need to take into consideration
Right.
when doing an STO in different places?
Right. So, in order to cope with uh, different jurisdictions trading restriction, we actually work with an international law firm in codifying all these trading restriction. So we can actually support over 50 countries trading restriction because for trading security token, right, or primary distribution, actually different countries would have different definitions of accredited investors. So we need to be really, really careful in codifying all this restriction onto our proprietary technology. Otherwise, it would be trading just like cryptocurrencies without restriction. Then we are not, then this is not working for our client. So, but most of our competitors, they are actually focusing on domestic deals. So it's easier for them to accomplish a so-called security tokenization.
So in 2019, you were on stage at on an STO panel at NeoDevCon in
Yep.
Seattle, and
Yep.
in watching that video, a lot of the discussion seemed to be that STOs were a big thing in 2019, but a lot of the infrastructure was still under development, and and you even said a lot of education was still necessary for the retail investor. So it's been about a year since you were on stage at NeoDevCon. So in the past year, has some of that infrastructure for STOs been developed, and have you seen broader education for the retail investor?
Right. I think for the retail investors, I actually mean high net worth individuals, because for most of the jurisdictions, the requirement to invest into security tokens is still accredited investors. But for some countries, right, like the Philippines, their definition of accredited investors is relatively low compared to the definition globally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for the past year, right, I've been seeing a lot of different jurisdictions are actually releasing licenses for security token exchanges, and this is really positive to the whole industry, because when government or regulatory body releases uh, licenses on the corresponding asset classes, it is actually a kind of recognition or reassurance from the company that from the government that they actually fed those companies before giving them license, and hence the quality of the security tokens can then be less challenged. Because a year ago, right, when I was on stage, I believe there are a lot of people questioning the quality of the security tokens being listed. Some may think people are putting shady assets onto security tokens, but for license operator, they won't risk that. So it's kind of like a a guarantee or a promise from the government that this operator is doing for the long term, instead of for a short term financing.
Mm-hmm. And so, kind of shifting into where blockchain fits into this,
Yep.
how does Liquefy integrate with public blockchains like Neo?
Right. So Neo, it was one of our previous round investor and our strategic partner. So what we have done together with Neo is we natively supported Neo in deploying a security token offering onto the Neo public blockchain. We also have a platform for the tokenization procedures for Neo. And we believe that throughout the whole collaboration, Neo Global Development, they provide us with a lot of help in terms of developer resources and also the community resources on pushing the Neo security token standard onto their GitHub. So we believe that it would take a little bit more time from a China perspective to put some native deals onto the Neo blockchain. Uh, Actually, we are waiting for the regulations to open up, right? But we're actually talking very closely with the team in terms of some other potential outside of China STO opportunities. So we are working very closely together, starting from investor development and now more of business development and ecosystem building perspective.
Mm. Is your primary market right now Asian-based markets, or are you really going after like a larger international audience?
Right. So we are actually targeting very much on the UAE region, because we were happy to be invited to have a joint venture with the ruling family of Dubai. So are we have our presence and offices there, and we are actually uh, trying to apply the corresponding licenses on the region, and we hope that we can actually bring in some overseas deals, right? So from the UAE perspective, some overseas deal, and then to see the market appetite from the UAE region, because for UAE, people are people are more inclined to invest into alternatives assets.
Mhm.
If you look at some wealth management survey, right, and basically we believe that they have a higher interest in terms of exotic assets, collectibles, and private equity. So we believe there would be huge opportunity there.
hmm And if I was understanding you correctly earlier, you were saying that there is an STO standard that is currently tentatively ready for the Neo blockchain. However, there still
Yep.
might be some government regulations that are up in the air. So while there might not be government approval for being able to use STO contracts on the Neo blockchain right now, once let's say the Chinese government said everything is okay, will there be these sort of private equities or collectibles that will be tokenized and stored on the Neo blockchain via the Liquefy platform?
Yeah, this is highly possible because if the Chinese government like announces the corresponding regulations for STO in China, then we Liquify is very happy to become the bridge or the proximity to China, right? So we can if the regulations allows, we can actually this I would say tokenize Chinese assets and then try to distribute it out of China. So to the regions like we have strong connections like UK, UAE, and Hong Kong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But even if, let's say, the Chinese government didn't just say, this STO contract is good to go, let's say you have these partners in the UAE or in Europe, will you
Yep.
be able to move forward with creating STOs on top of the Neo blockchain?
Right. That this is something definitely we are also having communications together with those ecosystem players in promoting the Neo standard or the Neo ecosystem, because we believe that when as the scenario that I mentioned, when the Chinese government, if they open up, and then I believe most of the asset owners in China would prefer a blockchain with a very strong Chinese backing. So yeah, so this is a very natural choice to do
Mhm.
when there is a if a Chinese STO is happening. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, as Liquify is its own separate platform that is working with a public blockchain, what does the development of things in the Neo ecosystem, like identity protocols and distributed storage, what do some of these functions that are being baked into the new ecosystem, how do they impact Liquify's product and offerings?
Right. Right. So we are seeing that uh, we are able to incorporate much more than a token standard onto Liquify, because Neo is or NGD is actually developing a lot of different uh, I would say other branches that helps with the whole security token ecosystem. So to name a few, so the Neo identity, Neo ID. Basically, if you use Neo ID, we can actually streamline the whole KYC AML procedures of the investors. So we are trying to bake it in onto the Neo version of Liquify, and we are seeing early success because we have an early prototype of the Neo ID incorporating into the Liquify platform already. Um, the other thing is Neo is actually rolling out a lot of other initiatives. So we are actually helping with one of the stablecoin initiatives in Hong Kong, and that for details, I think it will be announced later. So as you guys may know, right, stablecoin is really important when you're talking about security token offering, because for any STO that is issued, most of the case there is need in terms of dividend distribution. So to distribute dividend, there has to be a stable coin to support that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I believe we're working very closely with the Neo team in connecting all these sub functions that can perfect the whole STO ecosystem, a Neo-based STO ecosystem, I'd say.
Very cool. Are there any other? Thank you for sharing a little bit more about the future discussions about potential stablecoins, new potential stablecoins in the Neo ecosystem. Are there any other sort of angles between the partnership between Liquefy and Neo Global Development that you can share with us that I might not have asked about yet?
Right. So because we are, I think what I can share more is we're actually collaborating in not only the STO front, but also from a blockchain or other tech partnership perspective, because we are kind of like the proximity to China from people outside of China's perspective, but from Neo's perspective, we are actually bringing them some international partnerships all together. So we're very happy to have Neo as our investor and strategic partner down the journey, and we hope to see a lot more of collaborations in the future. So stay tuned, guys.
Absolutely, I love hearing not only hearing from projects that have been around for a year or longer, but also to hear that passion and that fire that's still there. So maybe you can share with us a little bit of the next steps for Liquefy.
Right. So our next step, one of the very key focus is to expand in the UAE region, as I mentioned, in terms of licensing and also adopting the platform. And for the for the other initiatives, we are actually planning to roll out some joint venture for for some STO initiatives. But for the details, I cannot actually announce too much yet. But stay tuned, and I'll definitely let you guys know first.
Awesome. And what's the best way that the Neo News Today listeners can keep up to date with Liquefy?
Right. So just follow our LinkedIn, Medium, and also Twitter. And if you guys want to reach out, you guys can go to www.liquefy.com for more informations and the email address.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with myself and the listeners of Neo News Today, Drey. It was a great conversation.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
Well, what did you think of that conversation? I thought it was really interesting to learn more about a Neo-based STO ecosystem and a little bit about the STO smart contract that the Liquefy team had created for the Neo platform. It was also really interesting to learn about how Neo ID will integrate with the Liquefy platform by streamlining a KYC and AML process for onboarding new users. And I will also be keeping my ears to the ground to see what kind of collaboration the Liquefy team has done on a potential new stablecoin project. To keep up to date with the latest in the Neo ecosystem, visit www.neonewstoday.com. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Apple iTunes, and or Spotify. And leave a 5-star review if you feel others should hear our content. Every subscription and review helps others learn about the NNT pod and about the Neo ecosystem in general. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Neo News Today podcast, and I look forward to catching you next time.